Welcome back, everybody, to Still a Part of Us. We are so grateful to talk to Leesa for just a chat about some advice and things that have helped her after this grief and mourning period of her son, Avery. Leesa, thank you again for coming on. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah. And as a point of reference, can you tell us what happened to your son, Avery, and about how long ago he was born?
Avery Michael was born in November of 2017. He had bilateral renal agenesis. He also had a hole in his heart. We did a termination for medical reasons,
Yeah.
and now I'm just grieving
Yeah.
and the mom.
Yeah. And it is, if you listen to her episode of the birth of her son, it's rough. When you just know that you're anticipating that your son is going to die, essentially, right? Like
Yeah,
there was no other options.
yeah.
It's so heartbreaking to be in that situation. And so I'm so sorry for losing one of your boys. I know you're a boy mom, so I just am so sorry to hear that.
Okay.
Just as a little bit of just what has helped you. I know it's been 6 years, and 6 years is not that much time in the grand scheme of things, but have there been some things that have really helped you through this process? And I know that changes, right? Too, like
Yeah,
your things that help when it was early on is maybe probably different from what helps today. So tell me
absolutely.
what's helped you, Leesa.
So when the first year was the first year of grief is always the hardest.
Yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
literally have to really, I don't know, like I feel like the first year of grief you really have to just like go through the grief.
Yes.
Just just stick with it.
Yep.
And just go on the path that it wants you to go on, but like you have to keep yourself sane. You can't go too far off the rails with the grief.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know how else to say it because it's very finicky and there's days when still now when I'm okay to talk about Avery and where I don't want to say it doesn't affect me as much,
Mhm.
but like there are some days where I cry when I talk about him and other days when I have a big smiling face because I love to talk about him. I mean, either way, I still love to talk about him.
Mhm. Yeah.
But there are days when it's hard because I'm missing him more,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Like I always miss him, but
Yeah. But there's
sometimes I
definitely
just
I agree. There's definitely days when it just feels like there's like more ache and there's more missing, like you said, missing him more. And there's
yeah.
other days where you're just really joyful. I don't know just the way you described it, just like I want to talk about him. You're just so excited. You're pumped about it. And
Yeah.
then other days you're like, no, he's mine, and I just want to not share him with anybody.
Yeah. Exactly. He's my baby. He's always my baby.
Yeah. And
But at the same time,
go ahead.
sorry. Sorry. But at the same time when I do talk about him, I don't open up that door of
Hmm.
what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sometimes so hard. I liked what you said about how sometimes you just need to follow the path of grief because it is like it's all super windy. It's going to take you over some big hills and into low valleys.
Yeah.
And but I also like what you said about it. You can't get too far off like don't go too far off the rails of grief. Like, what were some of the things that you did to try and ground yourself so that you didn't go so far, too
So
deep
I
or
would write letters to Avery
mm,
a lot.
mm-hmm.
It really helped me get out like me missing him and like letting him know that I'm okay,
Yeah.
but he's still there. Like I know that I still have him in a way, like I still have parts of him,
Yeah.
but just because I don't have him here physically with me, that he's always going to be with me. He's always going to be a brother. He's always going to have parents that love him.
Yeah. I like that.
And when the writing I wrote to him for 6 months, and eventually I was like, Leesa, we have to do something else. Like
Mm,
we can't. He's not going to read the letters.
yeah.
You have to like do things that help you. Like drawing is great.
Mm-hmm.
You can do drawing. I know some women draw with like pictures of their babies or attempt to because I'm not the greatest artist, so I don't know.
Me either. So.
But like they draw pictures and they donate and they go volunteer at hospitals and they do other
Mm-hmm.
things like that, which I
Mm-hmm.
also thought about doing for women in the same situation that I was in. And I felt like maybe that would help me like feel better. I use that term very loosely.
Yeah, but yeah, feel better is no. I think that's a great way of putting it.
Like,
So, what did you do?
well, I'm actually crocheting now, so I was
Oh,
thinking about making like little bears or blankets
mm,
and just donating them to like the hospitals and stuff.
that's a little bit of comfort that somebody could
Yeah,
have. Yeah,
it's definitely. I wish like I would have thought of it sooner, but you know,
it happens. You got two boys. You're busy.
what else? I like I said, I like talking about Avery because it gives me some sense of peace when I talk about him.
Mm-hmm.
Even though like sometimes it is hard, I just like other people to know about him.
Yeah, yeah. That you have three boys and not just
I
two,
do.
right?
Yeah. And it is hard when somebody asks you, how many kids do you have?
Yeah.
And you
Oh,
want to say two or three, but then they're like, oh, where's the other one?
yeah,
And then
yeah,
you have to like explain yourself.
yeah. It's good to gauge the situation and how. Yeah, I always am like, am I at the grocery store? Are people gonna really care? you know.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's
Yeah.
tricky. You have had a son since Avery's birth. How was that pregnancy, and how did you treat that pregnancy, especially after your loss?
So I was a wreck my entire pregnancy. I
Sounds about right.
was a wreck. I went to the doctors every single week.
Okay, there you go. And
I was
and
a wreck.
was he doing okay? Like,
He was on the smaller side.
mm-hmm,
He had some growth restrictions.
mm-hmm.
So, and then he decided that he wanted to like try to come out at 32 weeks. But, that's just those are my boys. They definitely like to keep me on my
I know.
toes.
I was gonna say you've had three challenging pregnancies. Wow. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love how you just said I was a wreck, and that is exactly how they always think that the pregnancy after a loss is like so exciting and so happy and so you're gonna have your baby now, and it's not a walk in the park by any means. In fact, it's a wreck sometimes.
Yeah,
Actually,
it is. And I was like, what's wrong with him? Is he okay?
yeah.
Like, and I remember I went in again for the anatomy scan.
Mm-hmm.
And I was petrified of going in there
Yeah.
because I was like, it's gonna happen again. Like that was like, I guess after you experience a loss, you always go to the negative first
Yeah.
instead of the positive.
Yep.
You
You're like,
always think it's happening again. And you're paranoid and you're just like thinking of all these things that could happen or the things that have already happened and you know it's gonna happen
yeah.
or you think it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But in the end it doesn't happen and everything is okay.
Yeah. You just have this. Yeah. You kind of get a little bit of a pessimist point of view / maybe
Yeah.
realist point of view after a loss. You are no longer innocent is what I've like to
No.
think about. You're like that, happy go lucky. Pregnancy is awesome, and baby will be healthy and born at 40 weeks and totally happy and healthy, and
Yeah,
yeah, totally changes you.
it does.
Leesa, what are some things that I would I like to kind of jokingly say, what are some things that were not as helpful that people did or say along your grief journey that you'd like maybe just recommend others maybe not say or do those things? Just,
Uh, Everything happens for a reason.
yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
one. It's a good one.
Um, it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
They're healthy now. They're in a better place.
Yeah. Those sting.
I'm no, I want him home.
Hmm.
He needs to be home. Like he needs to be upstairs. He needs to have a bed upstairs. He needs to have clothes in the closet. He needs to be home.
With his family.
He needs to be making a mess in my house.
Yeah.
That's where he needs to be.
Yeah. Exactly. Those are some good ones to kind of keep in the back of your brain, any of the listeners or watchers, that if you are helping somebody through something like this, maybe don't use those phrases as much. They can sting. Some people might feel it like it's okay, but a lot of those kind of sting a little bit.
And I know that they come off with like the best of
Oh,
intentions,
completely.
but at the same time, I don't think that they know what to say, so they just think of the best possible thing to say,
Yeah.
and maybe they don't look into it too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't
uh,
hold them accountable for
yeah.
wanting to help.
They and yes, we do need to give some grace to people that are just showing up to even show condolences and be supportive in whatever way that may be.
Yeah.
On the other hand, Leesa, I like to also highlight some things that people did do or say that you appreciated. Is there anything that stood out to you that you want to shout out?
The things that helped was like when they would just let me talk about Avery,
Mm-hmm.
just like express whatever feelings I had that day,
Yeah.
whether I was happy or sad or angry, whatever. And they just didn't even give it a second thought. And they just let me just grieve. And even now, my husband now, he lets me cry if I want to, or
Yeah.
we throw birthday parties for Avery every year.
Good. Yeah.
So we always get him a cake or whatever. And we just so I'm like it's always a personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
So not a lot of people I don't like a lot of people coming over on his birthday. I just want it to be something simple and you know, I like to reflect on the day that he was born sometimes.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And like now that Logan is his older brother Logan, he talks about him now. So
Yay.
I didn't tell him everything, but I did tell him a little bit about like Avery and what happened with Avery and everything.
Yeah. That he's a little brother. He has two little brothers, not just one.
Yeah. Yeah. And we talk about Avery and he tells me that he misses him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and I miss him too.
Yeah.
And for the people that have kids after or before, just especially the ones before the grief,
Yeah.
the ones that come before the pregnancy loss
Mm.
or whatever situation it is, just know that they grieve too. You know, they
Yeah.
notice things.
Yeah. They feel things. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
I agree.
I feel like we don't notice if they act different after you lose a brother or a sister or brothers or sisters
Mm.
or anything
Yeah.
like that. You know, like I didn't notice, but I think that Logan did have some sort of grief, and I think he still does. There's some times when he acts out, and I just think like, well, you know what? I act out too when I'm upset
Yeah. Yep.
or I'm
And little
missing Avery very
yep.
much.
And little kids don't know. Yeah, they will act out when they are sad and don't know how
Yeah,
to express it appropriately. And
yeah.
so, Leesa, thank you so much for your advice. I think that will be so helpful for others. Is there any last little bit of advice that you'd like to say, or anything you'd like to say about Avery that you want to share with our audience?
With Avery. there's also good things that come, from losing him. He's, besides making me a mother of three boys, he made me realize that I'm very strong. I'm a very strong-willed person.
Yeah.
And there's nothing I wouldn't do for any of my boys.
Yeah.
Like it's when losing a child, you become a whole different person than you were before. And he's made me a better person.
Mm.
Like he makes me want to do things for other people now.
Yeah.
Like he makes me want to help others in the same situation or or in a better situation.
Hmm. Yeah.
And he's just like I know when my time comes that I get to see him one day. And that makes me even like happier because I know I'll be able to get to see him.
That's perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Leesa. Have really appreciated our time today.
Thank
And,
you for
and
having me.
and thank you for sharing Avery with us. That I'm glad we were able to get his story recorded.
Me too. And I can always have it now and like
Yeah.
it's always gonna do something for me.
Yeah. Thanks again.
You're welcome.